Today I'm going to show you how I made this DIY Reptile apartment style baby rack that fits 16 cages, it has a nice sleek design, and it's ultra lightweight. And each cage measures 12 inches tall, 11 inches wide, and 17 inches deep. And the best part of it all is that it fits a baker's rack. Alright, let's begin. And for the materials of the cage, I'll be using 1/2 inch Sandy Plywood, and I'll be starting out by working out the bottom piece. I'll be making it 11 inches wide and 17 inches long. Then I grab my metal ruler, make my measurements, and then make the outlinings for my cutting. Then I clamp down my wood to the work table so this will stabilize my cutting. And just FYI guys, it's a good idea to mark out your pieces. And for the back piece, we need it to be 11.5 inches tall and then 11 inches wide. And for the back piece, it's a good idea to mark which part is top. It'll make it a lot easier to assemble, I promise. Then I use masking tape and apply it to the corners. This will help hold it in place for me. Then I drill in some pilot holes where my screws are going to go into. And just FYI, if you don't do this, your screws will actually break the plywood. Look at that. Told you it'd be a good idea to mark your pieces. Then for the sidewalls, we need them 11.5 inches tall and then 16.5 inches wide. And obviously, you need 2 of them. And look at that, it slides in just the way she likes it. Then I apply some masking tape, drill some pilot holes, screw it in, and then I repeat this process for the other side. And now I got the main walls of the box done, but I still need to actually add a brace to the top front of the box. And I'll be doing that by cutting out 10 inches of a 1/2 inch thick of poplar wood. Then I tape down the brace into place, and then I put 2 screws in on each side. Now I'm going to seal up the inside of the box. I'm going to be using Drylok, and this is actually the best time to seal it up. And you'll see why here in a little bit. And by the time I was finished, I applied 4 coats total. And for my next step, I grabbed a roll of aluminum screen, I rolled it over the top, and then I used 1/2 inch screws to screw it down. And if you actually screw these in slowly, then you won't need to use a pilot hole. Then I grabbed a pair of scissors and used the plywood as my guiding line in the center of it to cut all the aluminum screen off. Next, I'll be adding trimming all along the top of the box. This will make it look nicer and then cover up all the sharp pieces of the screen. And I'll be doing that by using 1/4 inch thick poplar wood. And for the top side trimmings, I need them 17 inches long. And a quick shortcut, put the trimming to the top of the box, grab a pencil, and then just trace it. And then cut it off. And then I screw it down and repeat this process for the other side. And for the top, front, and back, you need to cut out 2 pieces of 8 inch wide trimmings. Now flip the box over to its back side and we'll start working on the front. And we'll need 2 12 inch long side trim pieces. And for the bottom and top front trimmings, we'll need them 8 inches wide as well. And we screw it down the bottom, but for the top, we'll actually be doing it a little bit different. And I'm actually not going to screw down the trimming on the top front, because if I did, then the screws would actually go through behind the poplar board behind it. Instead, I'm going to be using contact cement, and I'll be lightly brushing all along the 1/2 inch poplar board, and just add a light coat, and this will take about 2 hours for it to cure out. And now, we're done making the box. No more woodwork, no more screwing. Then I channel my inner Bob Ross and paint it semi-gloss black. And now, I'm finally done with the box. And I really love the tuxedo look at this. The white on the inside and the black on the outside just contrast really well. And now, I gotta make the door. And I'm gonna do that by using acrylic sheet that I got off of Amazon. This is the exact same acrylic that they would use for picture frames, and it's really cheap for like a 20 pack of them. And I'll also be using acrylic door hinges that I got off of Amazon. You get these in like a bunch of different colors, black, white, clear. I chose clear as you can see, but these are pretty cheap too. Then you want to peel off one side of the plastic off the acrylic sheet, and then I flip the cage over on the back side. And I lay down the acrylic with the plastic sheet side facing inwards, and then you want to line it up exactly with the side trimmings. Now the top and the bottom of the sheet will actually overhang the trim just a little bit. You want to give them about a little bit even. I got it about to my finger length. Then I use contact cement and I rub just a slight amount of each side on each hinge. Then I press it down nice and firmly on each side of the hinge. And you want the hinge part actually lined up exactly to the edge of the trimming, and then leave a little bit of gap at the bottom of the hinge. And I repeat this process for the upper part. And now I need to add some latches to the door of the cage. And I'm going to be using these things that I got off of Amazon. They're actually just like the little latches that go on the back of the picture frames to hold your picture in. I know, pretty genius, right? Now I'm going to be placing one on the top and on the bottom, and they actually come with little screws too. You just screw them in nice and tight, and I do it to all three of them. And now I'm going to peel the plastic off the back of the door. And now I'm actually going to need a door handle. And for the handle, I'll be using decorative picture clips. You can buy these at like Walmart, Target, get them off Amazon. And they come with double-sided adhesive. You apply it to the handle, cut off the excess. And I like to place it just a little bit right above the latch next to the trimming, out of the swing way of the latch. And man, I gotta say, the door feels really good. It swings nice and openly easy, and it looks really good. And now, it's time to put on the baker's rack, and I repeat this process exactly 15 times. Then I use 10-inch shop light clamps that fit perfectly on the trim of each cage. And for my UVB, I just use a T5 light fixture with an Arcadia bulb into it. And now I'm not gonna lie, I really don't like the look of the lights being showed right there, so I cut out foam board and hang it up on wire. Alright, so I've been using these cages now for about a month with some baby collar lizards that I have, and now I want to talk about the reason why I actually designed this for my needs. So, as a reptile breeder, you know, a lot of people will like breed bearded dragons or some little desert species, and they rather keep them all in one tub. But the issue with that is like usually they compete over food, they will actually end up with tail nipping. And this is my second season of breeding collar lizards, and I actually had some tail nipping this season, unfortunately. And when I was raising them up, after I started separating them, I put them in like little plastic tote tubs. And man, that's so annoying, just like lifting up the lids and all that stuff. It just makes it so much more work than it actually needs to be. And that's why I designed this, is so I could actually have like a bunch of cages in just a short amount of wide space on the wall. And another benefit to actually raising babies up this way is that, like, let's say if you raised them up in a tub, you can't really monitor which ones poop, how much they're eating each. So it's just like none of the babies will grow up equally. There'll be bullying happen. And now that I have this, I can actually literally just walk through and literally just like check out everyone's poop. It's easier for me to spot clean. I just feel a lot more enjoyment actually like watching them now, because like if you have to lift up like tub lids and stuff like that to like feed them and all that, it's no fun. It's just more work than it needs to be. I'd rather work smarter than harder, you know? I want to enjoy raising the babies, because raising in tubs, I was not having fun with that no more, like at all, dude. So now I feel so much better with this. And another reason why I actually designed it like this now is because I want to step up my game at like reptile shows, and I mean by display. You know, most people will keep their reptiles in deli cups at reptile shows when they're vending. Me, I don't want to do that with certain lizards. So these, since they're super lightweight, I can actually bring these out and put them on display at the show. I know, pretty smart thinking, right? And when it comes to the heat lamps, I can't give you an exact wattage bulb to use. You're gonna have to figure out that for your own. But for me, for raising up these collar lizards, since they're desert species, they like it about 100 and 105 degrees, kind of similar to a bearded dragon's basking spot. And I noticed for each one, 29 watts seems to be the sweet spot, right in the perfect basking spot. But also, as I further have been like using these cages, I'm starting to think like, hey, maybe I can actually raise like some baby geckos or some other smaller species in there. And one more thought I had, if you don't need heat lamps and just need UVB or just a small light for your reptiles, you could actually fit 20 of these on the actual baker's rack. And for wire management on this rack, I just zip tie an outlet to the back side of the actual rack, and then, you know, I'll just zip tie some cables together, just clean it up. It makes it a lot easier for managing it. But one more thing I want to actually talk about too is like under here, the wire rack over here, you can actually have the UVB lights being hung up by little wires, and even the heat lamps too, so you can just slide the cage in and out if you really need to. Kind of think of it like a snake rack style. But I want to say too, with the UVB lights, depending on what strength you need, remember UVB lights don't last forever, so you always want to use a solar meter to actually measure the strength. Like when I first set this up, I had my UVB fixture up high, like directly under the shelf above it, and I noticed when I used my UVB reader, it wasn't actually within the proper UV index for my animals here. So depending on your light bulb strength, you can always lower it back down or lift it back up. For now, I have it lowered down since the bulb's older. But now, the ultimate question that you're all wondering, how much did it cost me to make this? Well, I'll tell you this, it cost me a little under $500 to make all of this, including the rack, but not including the electrical. That's completely different. You know how much this would actually cost if you did this in PVC without the rack? At least $4,000. And I don't know about you, but everything's getting more expensive now, so this is why I also decided to go the DIY route. And if you guys are ever interested in making this, I will leave all the blueprints and cuttings, all the links to where I got this and how much they cost and how much you need to actually make each one. And also, if you guys are ever interested in making a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot tall enclosure, let's say for your bearded dragon, then check out this video right here. Alright guys, my name's Ryan, and you're watching Mighty Morphin Reptiles. Peace!